With the Fannie Mac and Freddie Mae debacle on Friday, the services of the plunge protection team were required to avert further market price deterioration. While there would likely be an impending announcement by the Federal Reserve, we could no longer wait for them to act. News reporting agencies rarely check up on anything and are so anxious to beat each other to the punch for a breaking headline that they rarely take the time to fully verify their stories. And these financial company CEOs are such a bunch of crooks who get away with everything anyway. This wouldn't be much different than any of the usual market manipulation poop they spew out, especially days before going completely belly up. And hopefully we could avert having the market close into a weekend down another 250 points in new low territory. So we contacted the Reuters news desk and told them we were affiliated with Richard Siren's executive office at Fannie Mae and that Ben Bernanke had just informed him that both Fannie and Freddie could take advantage of the federal emergency discount window. At worst, if the reporter questioned the story too much, we could always slip him a 50 to pass the story along. Amazing what you can get people to do for $50 these days. You don't believe me? Have you watched reality TV lately? All of a sudden, around 2:45 p.m., Freddie shot up a whopping 25% in less than 10 minutes as Reuters released the news and CNBC also picked it up. Aren't these the same people accusing bloggers of shoddy due diligence? It's classic. These people are the equivalent of Wall Street's National Enquirer. At the same time, the Dow itself shot up nearly 250 points. It was awesome. What a rush to be able to cause a spike in the market that could only be outmatched by the Federal Reserve leaking information to the banks that they're about to print boatloads more cheap money by initiating a 3/4 point rate cut. And to think, even that wasn't enough to save their asses. After the close, Fannie and Freddie said their finances were sufficiently sound to withstand the housing crisis. Senator Chris Dodd also chimed in, saying these institutions are fundamentally sound and strong. There is no reason for the kind of reaction we're getting. Isn't that what the CEO of Bear Stearns said a few days before they blew up? How would any of them know anyway? Fannie's balance sheet is so screwed up and delinquent, they haven't even filed an earnings statement with the SEC since 2004.
No way.
Most companies are usually required to by law. Well, unless you know someone, know someone. And they don't even write off their mortgages until 2 years after the properties have been foreclosed on. Gotta love how well they can hold a straight face while lying. That's the real secret to becoming president. Just look at Hillary Clinton. Almost worked for her again, but she pushed it a little too far this time, and people were finally catching on. Anyway, I'm so tired of always having to bail out the Fed and all these greedy politicians and their cockamamie policy agendas. So next on my agenda, to build my own bank. Steal $500 and a cop will pop a cap in your ass faster than you can say boo, especially if you have a real dark tan. Really strange. What's up with that?
Weird.
Lose 50 billion plus and you get a personal call from the head of the Federal Reserve offering you more. How's that for living on the edge? Just ask Angelo Mazzillo, first Countrywide, now IndyMac. Not bad for a super rich bitch. I can only wonder which bank he uses to stash away all his millions. If you want to tax the rich law, how about confiscating all the assets of anyone who causes, say, more than $1 billion in losses that taxpayers will eventually have to pay? Nah, too much trouble. Rather burp up a 40 while watching Family Guy.
Go football head!
Stewie! Better yet, just keep blaming America's rich. Those people who make over $250,000 a year. These days, isn't that like lower middle class or maybe closer to upper poor? If your cash net worth were priced in eggs and milk, you just lost 75% of your egg buying power in the last year alone. Where's your inflation tax write-off? So much for being rich. Damn! Oh well, who cares? It doesn't really apply to any of you anyway, does it? Hey, pass the remote, bitch! It's awesome. You're all part of our kleptocracy and you don't even realize it. A kleptocracy is a government that extends the personal wealth and political power of government officials and the ruling class at the expense of the population. And yes, people, the population does include those hard-working, upper-poor rich folks that so many politicians love to soak. Well, back to bed. All this talk of actually doing something has made me quite tired, and I do so enjoy watching you all sit back and take it up the over and over and over again. Well, as long as that rich bitch in the $500,000 house across the street from you gets soaked for even more taxes than you do. I hear they just foreclosed on his house too, dumbass. Gotta love it. So much for his overpriced college degree. What an idiot. Thanks, dude. I feel so much better about my poor-ass pitiful life now.
Pass me the pork, bitch.